Hello amigos, this is Pablo Garcia, the engineer photographer. With this video and the companion video I'll be doing in Spanish, I'll now have 100 videos in my YouTube channel. Thanks to all of you who have subscribed. I'm almost 400 subscribers now and have sent me comments and ideas for future videos. Thank you so much. Today I wanted to talk about On1 Software NONOISE AI. A new tool that uses artificial intelligence to remove noise from our images. Topaz Noise AI has been in the market now for quite a while and is one of my favorite plugins. Let's see how well NONOISE AI works. I have this image here taken at Bosque del Apache. This is the unedited raw file taken at ISO 5000, and if I zoom in, you can see there is quite a bit of noise here in the background. Before you go to tools like Topaz Noise or No Noise in this case, go to the develop module and make sure you put sharpening to 0 and luminance to 0. We want to make sure we're using the new tools, those plugins, to remove the noise and not to have Lightroom do anything that may go counter to what those tools do. So that's step number one. Also, don't add any texture or clarity to the image before you send it to the plugin. And the third thing, don't crop the image. Let's retain flexibility to be able to do the edits that we want once we make the return trip. Now, to open No Noise AI, we're gonna do right click, edit in. We're gonna select No Noise AI. We get the editing box. I'm gonna select TIFF, Pro Photo. I'm gonna leave it at 300 resolution and we'll do edit. As I was getting ready to do this video, I got the notification that there was an update. I had seen some bugs that I wanted to tell you about. Let's see how well this update works. This is version now 2021 16.0.0.10785 as of July 19. Now it's taking a little bit to process the file that Lightroom generated. This is something I noticed. It takes probably a little longer than Topaz Noise does, maybe 30 seconds or so, depending on the computer you have. But after it opens the image, the response time is very fast and appears to be less taxing on the computer hardware that you have than Topaz Noise is. So we'll just give it a few seconds, something like 30 seconds. That seems to work. So here we are. First thing you'll notice is we get this box right here in the center that says that today No Noise AI is optimized for raw photos and that perhaps we're not going to get the best results and we're not using a raw photo to start with. Well, this is an issue for me. I have a Lightroom based workflow. I like to start in Lightroom and finish in Lightroom. Now, if I want to use a raw image, what I now have to do is find that image in my hard drive, send that image to No Noise, save it, and then import it back into Lightroom. Not a big deal. You're only doing a handful of images, but you're doing a lot of images. You know, I think No Noise and Adobe should find a way to allow us to send raw images and do the return trip. It is possible, and I'll show you a way to send a raw image from Lightroom using the export panel. But the return trip is still an issue. You still have to do it manually. I'll show you how to do that later. For now, we'll say OK. And you'll see that right away, there is no noise here on the right part of the image. Let me move the scroll bars. It did a very good job on removing the noise. Let's look at the panel on the right. The panel is very simple. It just has auto on or off and a number of sliders for noise reduction, luminance, enhanced detail and color, and then sharpening, detail, and threshold. Well, it appears from prior testing I have done that No Noise doesn't control all the sliders. It only controls the luminance slider when you're in automatic mode. Let's try that. I'm gonna zero all the sliders, and now I'm gonna You notice it went to auto off. Now I'm going to tell it auto on. And luminance slider jumped to 100%. But all other sliders stay at 0. What happens if I move the luminance slider back? Let's say the response time is very quick, but I can see grain now on the background of the image. So I'm going to go all the way to 0, tell it automatic mode on. It did a very good job of removing all the fine noise that I had on the background. And it actually did a very nice job of masking around the sandhill cranes. And even this area here that is almost enclosed, it did a very good job. Some other tools, like earlier versions of Topaz Noise AI, seem to have problems when you had areas like this one that seem to be enclosed. And this one actually did a very nice job. Now, something I don't like is I don't have a lot of detail on the feathers on the head of the cranes, primarily on this crane. I'm going to move it more towards the center. And you see it moved very fast. We didn't have to regenerate. So that's something that I'm liking from On1 is the response time is very quick, but we don't have detail. Let's see if we can bring that detail back. So now we're going to have to do manual adjustments. We're going to move the enhanced detail about halfway. You may not be able to see it on your screen. I can see a little bit on mine. Maybe I'm going to go all the way to 100%. And I can see now some additional detail on these feathers on the neck of this sandhill crane. Color, I'm not going to use it this time. Color noise, this image is well lit and I don't have any color noise to speak of. I can now apply sharpening. So let's try sharpening. Again, I can see additional detail. You may not be able to see it. I'm going to go to 100%. That's the original noisy image. Here's the image with sharpening. It did better. Does no sharpening and does sharpening. Now let's increase the detail. And I can begin to see bringing some detail back on these feathers. If I go all the way to 100%, it starts to get kind of crunchy. I don't like it. I think there's some artifacts of getting that detail. So let's dial it back something like around 50 or 60%. And it looks like this is the best that we're going to be able to do by giving it a non-raw file, like a TIFF file in this case. So overall, fast response time, very good noise reduction on the background, but not necessarily the best job on preserving detail on the main parts of the image. Let's save it and go back to Lightroom. So now we come here on the lower right, we click done. And it's going to make the return trip to Lightroom. Well, here we are in Lightroom, and I was really hoping that the version I have now that I updated just before this video would have fixed this problem. But I think you may see it here on the screen. Look here at the foreground. It lost the color. We have color grass here on the left, black and white grass, and even here on the crane, you can see difference in color. And this is the problem I had by giving it a TIFF. Another problem I was having with the original version of NONOISE AI is this one, where a portion of the image just gave me black pixels. Not only once, I ran it twice. And I had the same problem. I'm running on Windows 10. I had my computer for quite some time. And this is unacceptable. Like I say, I was really hoping that with the bug fixes that they just released today on July 19, this problem would have gone away, but it hasn't. Now, yesterday, after I got those black boxes, instead of sending a TIFF, I sent a PSD. I did the editing just like before, sent a PSD, got a PSD back. And with the PSD format, I didn't have a problem. So the bug seems to be on how On1 NONOISE saves TIFF files. That gives you the either black and white or color issues or black pixels. So here is the PSD using pretty much the same settings where we had to go almost to the extreme of the sliders to get the detail. Now, how does it compare if you give it the raw file when you use On1 NONOISE AI standalone, open the raw file, and that's what I did. And here it is with the raw file. Let me go to view, lock position, so we're staying on the same position. You'll notice, I think, that the image got a little darker. In this case, the raw image or the raw file is being demosaic by NONOISE AI, not by Lightroom. And NONOISE is applying its artificial intelligence driven noise reduction as close as possible to the raw conversion. And I think you will appreciate that now I have a lot more detail on the head of the sandhill crane. And I didn't have to push the sliders all the way to the extreme. I think I had the sliders about halfway of the range. And this detail looks a lot more natural. Again, here's with the raw file. Here is with the PSD file. Change in exposure seems to be on the conversion, but the amount of detail that we got with the raw is significantly better. So I'm liking that performance, but again, I wish there was an easy way to do the complete round trip of being able to send the original raw file and getting back. In this case, I save back from NONOISE as a DNG, get a DNG back for further editing in Lightroom. And that one requires either a whole manual process or, as I told you, there's a way using the export to send a raw file, but then import it back manually. I'm liking the overall direction that On1 Software is going. I wish they fixed the issues of performance with non-raw images. They need to fix the bugs that they have, at least with the TIFF files. Those are the ones I'm seeing. And the other thing is, to pass the Noise AI, you remember you had used that tool. That tool actually has 4 different artificial intelligence models, and sometimes one works better than others for the image that we're trying to clean up. NONOISE has just one model that gets applied. At least that's what it appears on the menu that is given to us. Today, state-of-the-art on artificial intelligence, AI works better the better defined the task at hand is than trying to solve general tasks. Because of that, I think that to pass the Noise AI probably has better chance of working across a wide range of images because to give us the 4 different models than NONOISE AI. Right now, you're only seeing that single image that I'm doing. We need to do further tests to see how it works with architectural image, with portraits, with low light images, and general images like that. Overall, it's working fine. I like the overall direction. I'm looking forward to future versions of this tool, but there's still some issues that will prevent me from putting On1 Software in my primary set of tools that I use. Well, I hope you like this review. Please continue to subscribe to my channel, tell your friends about my channel, help it grow it, send me a comment or two, give me a like, and I'll see you next time.